She was only in her early 20s, but she was already experiencing symptoms of menopause. She was getting hot flashes, she was getting night sweats, she was getting vaginal dryness, she was having trouble sleeping, like she was really having trouble winding down at night enough to be able to calm down and sleep. And then she was also really distressed because she was losing her hair. Her face was just breaking out no matter what she did. Her nails were brittle. And she was having these awful irregular periods where she'd go for a few months and not have anything. And then suddenly she'd have a really heavy period where she'd bleed a lot and she'd get a lot of cramping. And she was just like, oh, what is going on? Like, I'm only 22. Why am I dealing with this? So she came to me and we ran a Dutch test. Now, one really important thing that I want to mention is that she was on the birth control pill. And the birth control pill that she was on is a form of synthetic progesterone or progestin and synthetic estrogen. So she's getting a little bit of synthetic estrogen and she's getting synthetic progesterone. So that's the birth control pill she was on. And what the birth control pill does, the way that it works, is it suppresses your ovaries. It suppresses ovulation so that you can't get pregnant, right? But the issue with that is, and I mean, this is by design, but the issue with that is when it suppresses your ovaries, as a woman, especially in your reproductive years, your ovaries are what makes your sex hormones. They make your estrogen, they make your progesterone, they make your testosterone. So when we ran her Dutch test, her levels of her sex hormones were completely bottomed out. And this is why she was having symptoms of more likely that you would see during menopause. So her levels of estrogen were so low, I would have, not been surprised to see them in a woman who was like 62 or 72 rather than 22. So low levels of estrogen can cause hot flashes, they can cause night sweats, it can cause vaginal dryness. Estrogen also really impacts your hair. So if you're getting hair loss, dry skin, nails, this can all be part of low estrogen. Estrogen is also really important for mood. So if your mood swings or your mood just isn't right or you're getting like brain fog, that can all be linked to low estrogen. Low progesterone. So her progesterone was also bottomed out. Progesterone is really important for mood, calm, and sleep. So we need it to be resilient to stress. We need it to be able to calm down. We need it to be able to sleep well at night. We need it so we don't feel anxious, right? Progesterone helps us feel like grounded and balanced and regulated and in a good mood. And she was really struggling because she didn't have hardly any progesterone. So she had anxiety, she was irritable, her mood was always low. And then it'd be evening and she'd go to bed and then suddenly she's like wired and she can't sleep. So that was all greatly impacting her mood. Also, her testosterone was low. So she had like no sex drive, no motivation, no energy, low testosterone. But there's an interesting paradox here because the synthetic estrogen or the synthetic progesterone or progestin that's in the pill, so this is called norethindrone, it actually almost acts like a synthetic form of testosterone. So it can give you symptoms that look like you actually have too much testosterone. So like the acne or irritability or body hair or facial hair. But in fact, her testosterone was very low. It was not testosterone causing these problems. It was actually the synthetic norethindrone in the birth control pill. So looking at the rest of her panel, her DHEA, which is the precursor to testosterone, those levels were good. Now that is made in the adrenals, and the adrenals are not as heavily impacted by the pill as the ovaries are, which get really suppressed by the birth control pill, again, by design. So looking at that, I could tell her, there's nothing actually wrong with you. You have good potential. The raw material is there, but the pill is suppressing the process and the production. Her levels of cortisol were also normal, but she was metabolizing very little, which was leading to her body holding on to cortisol because it's expensive to make. Her body didn't want to let it go because it was kind of in a battery saving mode. And then she'd get to the evening and she'd have trouble winding down. She'd feel like wired but tired. Tired but still too wired to be able to relax and not enough progesterone to sleep well. So doing the Dutch was such an eye-opening experience for her because it really showed her exactly what was happening in her body and what the pill was doing. And I think this is so important for women to know, and it's such a hard topic because there's no perfect solution for us in terms of birth control, right? But the pill is one of the hardest things on a woman's body, and it doesn't just affect her locally, it affects the body systemically, right? That's why you often see women with nutrient deficiencies, which brings me to another point. Her B vitamins were low as well, which was really contributing to, her hair falling out and her mood and her energy. Her dopamine was also low, and dopamine is our reward chemical, our reward molecule that gives us that sense of satisfaction when we accomplish anything. So, like anytime you check something off your to do list, or you eat something, or you accomplish something, that sense of satisfaction that we get when we do something, that's dopamine. And if we don't have any dopamine, we often just feel really flat. We might feel numb. We don't feel motivated to do anything because we're not getting that sense of reward, of satisfaction. It's a really tough place to be because you just feel meh. And then not having any hormones on board either. This poor girl was completely out of gas at age 22. So going back to what I was saying, I just think that it's so important for women to understand what the pill is doing to their body, because all of a sudden, you're not feeling right, you're having symptoms of menopause, your hair is falling out, your skin's breaking out, like all these things are going wrong. And really, it's because you're on the pill, and the pill is suppressing your body's natural functions, right? It's suppressing your ovaries, it's suppressing the natural production of your hormones. And because when you bring in a synthetic source, it it basically stops or greatly decreases producing its own. So it's this whole cycle of imbalance, but it's by design, because the whole point of the pill is to suppress your ovaries so you don't ovulate, so you can't get pregnant. But anyway, she decided she could not live like that anymore, decided to get off the pill. So I was able to give her a schedule. Basically, when you get off the pill, I mean, yeah, it's great getting off the pill, but it is a bit of a journey because the body has to rebalance, right? So basically, those first 3 months when you get off the pill, you just want to think about repletion of nutrients, right? Like B vitamins, like for her specifically, it was biotin, it was vitamin B6. Want to bring back in some magnesium glycinate, bring back in some zinc, which helps with testosterone, it helps with the skin as well. So getting those nutrients balanced, especially for those first 3 months. Then from 3 to 6 months is where you might start to see some improvements. Those the first 3 months, honestly, just getting the pill out of your system, your body's trying to recalibrate, right? So things might continue to be irregular, or you might get some, a little bit of a roller coaster when it comes to periods, or, moods and how you're feeling. It might be going up and down. That's actually pretty normal. So if you are getting off the pill and things feel a little wonky for the first few months, it's just kind of part of the process. After you've gotten over that like 3 month hump and you're going more into like 3 to 6, that's where you start to get more consistency, and you might actually start to see more improvement, especially if you're working on repleting the nutrients that have been depleted by the pill, right? And then once you get past the 6 month marker, 6 months and on, 6 to 9 months, that's where your body really starts to recalibrate. Your hormones are awake again. You're kind of getting normal production again. And like with her, I knew there was nothing else that was really showing up as wrong. Like I said, her DHEA levels were good, which showed me you have good potential. It's just getting suppressed. So if you take away the thing that's suppressing it, there's no reason for your body to go back and have healthy hormone production. So that was really life-changing for her. And I know that there's so many other young women out there in the same situation. So I just wanted to share this video because even though there's really no perfect solution, just knowing what's happening in your body and understanding that, so at least you can start to replete those nutrient deficiencies and gently bring balance back to your body, makes such a difference. If you're curious about a Dutch test, or if you have questions about birth control or going off birth control, or more questions related to this topic, let me know. It's one of my absolute favorite topics. Don't hesitate to reach out to me.